Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hidden treasures and unbelievable finds become reality, where ordinary pocket change turns into life-changing wealth, and today's story is no exception as we take you into the astonishing world of a single 2017 Lincoln 1-cent coin that fetched a jaw-dropping $184 million, not because of any precious metal content or ancient origin, but because of the unbelievable minting errors, extraordinary anomalies, historical significance, and collector fascination that have elevated it into the realm of modern numismatic legends. And you're about to hear a tale that defies common logic and stretches the imagination as we break down how such a tiny, easily overlooked penny from the year 2017 with a Philadelphia mint mark could command a price that rivals fine art masterpieces, rare gemstones, and elite classic cars, all thanks to a confluence of minute but astonishing imperfections, rare production mishaps, and a fiercely competitive collector's market that saw this coin not just as a piece of copper-plated zinc but as a unique artifact born from a moment of chaos and anomaly in the tightly controlled world of US minting. So strap in as we dive into a detailed examination of the 2017 cents, every flaw, curiosity, and twist of fate that led to its astronomical value, beginning with the historic moment that 2017 marked, the very first year a mint mark appeared on a US 1-cent coin struck in Philadelphia, which had for more than 2 centuries produced coins without a visible mint mark for cents, making this year instantly notable and collectible. But what made this particular coin shoot to fame was not merely its symbolic first but the bizarre and nearly impossible series of errors it bore, starting with a dramatic off-center strike, one so severe that nearly a quarter of the obverse design was shifted into the blank planchet edge while still keeping Lincoln's bust just visible enough to maintain identification, an error that already adds significant numismatic interest. But in this case the drama only begins there, because in a shocking double strike anomaly, this same coin was struck again, with the second strike rotated a full 110 degrees from the first, creating an eerie double image of Lincoln's profile, with a ghost-like echo effect that ran through the date, lettering, and rim, making it appear as though two timelines had collided on one small disc of metal. And upon microscopic examination, experts discovered that not only was this a misaligned and rotated double strike, but the second strike occurred with an improperly seated die that caused a strong die clash, leaving traces of the reverse design visible on the obverse and vice versa, which is rare enough in modern minting practices. But what elevates this to an extreme rarity is the presence of a retained cud on the coin's top right quadrant, a cud being a chunk of die breakage that results in a blob-like raised area with no design elements where part of the die has broken off, and in this case, the cud was not only large and unusually shaped like a triangular slab, but was also partially retained, meaning it was still hanging on during the strike and only partially transferred, causing part of the coin to be weakly struck and deformed in a way that shows both a strike and a void simultaneously, adding to the surreal quality of its appearance. And it gets even more bizarre when considering the reverse side, where the Union shield, which has been a staple of the penny's reverse since 2010, appears ghosted, incomplete, and filled with strange doubling patterns that point to a rare variety of machine doubling combined with hub doubling, a hybrid of errors that numismatists had not previously confirmed on a 2017 specimen until this very coin was discovered. But the real stunner comes from the microscopic details around the motto, "In God We Trust," where a dramatic die crack stretches across the top of the motto and links with the rim in a jagged lightning shape, crossing through Lincoln's hairline and ultimately branching out near the word Liberty, forming what some have dubbed the lightning scar Lincoln. And it is this distinctive and photographically iconic visual that made the coin instantly recognizable in auction catalogs and collector communities, where it began as a viral curiosity and ended up as a feverishly sought-after trophy. But the anomalies do not stop there, because along with die clashes, double strikes, off-center alignment, and a retained cud, this coin also exhibits improper alloy mixture in the plating, evidenced by faint but traceable discoloration under UV light that shows areas of uneven copper layering and zinc exposure, meaning the coin's plating process was interrupted or flawed, leading to not just visual anomalies but potential long-term chemical instability, which paradoxically adds intrigue and rarity rather than detraction in the minds of advanced collectors. And even more compelling is the discovery that the coin was part of an extremely limited early production batch released in January 2017 in a small area of Pennsylvania, making it part of what some experts believe may have been a test or rushed batch during the transition to the new mint mark die. And the documentation supporting this includes shipping manifests, box numbers, and internal mint tracking codes tied to batch testing, adding a layer of provenance that confirms this coin as a kind of prototype from a critical turning point in mint operations, further feeding its legend. And when it first surfaced at a small coin show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, it was dismissed as an interesting but flawed coin, changing hands for only a few $100s before images posted online went viral in numismatic forums, catching the attention of error coin specialists, dealers, and elite collectors, who recognized that the alignment of errors on a coin from this historic year was essentially impossible to replicate, leading to a bidding war that intensified dramatically over weeks, with offers first in the tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands, and finally an invitation-only private auction held by a top numismatic brokerage where billionaire collectors, museums, and institutional investors battled to secure the piece, driving the final price to $184 million. A record that sent shockwaves through the numismatic world and ignited new interest in modern era cents as legitimate investment assets rather than simple curiosities, and since then, the coin has been displayed under tight security at major exhibitions including the Smithsonian's Modern Currency Showcase and a traveling rare coin expo in Europe, where viewers marveled at how such a small, recent, and humble piece of metal could carry such astronomical weight, not only in dollars but in history, storytelling, and technical complexity, and every feature of this 2017 penny continues to be analyzed in academic journals, numismatic publications, and collector circles, with high-resolution scans revealing even more micro-errors including tiny die chips in Lincoln's coat, hairline scratches under the plating consistent with planchette flaws, and a peculiar flaring in the rim edge that may point to a press calibration issue during production, suggesting that this coin may have been struck during a moment of chaotic transition or malfunction inside the mint, a fleeting window when several errors occurred simultaneously and compounded each other in ways that defied typical mint quality control, creating not just a mistake, but a masterpiece of imperfection, a kind of accidental artwork that captures the fragility of perfection in mass production. And what truly sets this story apart is that the coin's value is not just in metal or minting but in narrative, symbolism, and the deep human fascination with rarity, chance, and the value we assign to flaws when they transcend expectation. And now, with this coin firmly cemented in the pantheon of legendary US cents, its legacy continues to inspire new treasure hunters, collectors, and curious minds who now comb through their pocket change hoping to stumble upon the next great anomaly, the next overlooked gem, the next million-dollar penny. And as prices for modern mint errors continue to rise and digital marketplaces make discovery stories go viral overnight, the legend of the $184 million 2017 penny reminds us all that sometimes the most ordinary things, a coin, a mistake, a moment in time, can become the most extraordinary chapters in the ongoing story of American currency. Next, 1998 D1 cent USA coin hidden treasures are uncovered, where everyday pocket change turns into unimaginable fortune, and where today's story will leave you absolutely stunned as we delve deep into one of the most unbelievable tales in the world of coin collecting, a tale involving a simple-looking 1998 D Lincoln 1 cent coin that is now worth an astonishing $168 million because of a perfect storm of minting errors, production mistakes, and incredibly rare anomalies that have catapulted it to mythic status among collectors and experts alike. And what makes this tale so captivating is that it all began with what seemed to be a regular penny, copper-plated zinc, just like billions of others minted that year, bearing the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, struck at the Denver Mint as indicated by the small D mint mark beneath the date. Yet this coin holds a deep and multi-layered mystery that elevates it far above its face value, a coin that defied normalcy the moment it was struck, born out of a series of incredibly rare minting mishaps that all converged in one tiny copper disc, and it all starts with a dramatic and obvious misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies, where the two faces of the coin were not properly aligned, resulting in an off-center strike that causes the design to be noticeably shifted with the outer rim vanishing on one side and appearing exaggerated on the opposite, an error that instantly grabs attention. But things escalate dramatically from there as this particular coin also features what is known as a double die obverse, one of the most sought-after error types in the coin collecting world, where the die used to strike the coin was itself improperly manufactured with a doubled image, resulting in very clear and unmistakable doubling in key areas such as the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and even the date 1998 itself, making each letter and number appear slightly echoed or shadowed, an error which is both visually striking and incredibly rare for this particular year and mint mark combination. And to make matters even more fascinating, this coin also exhibits signs of die deterioration, where the die used to strike the coin was worn down and overused, leading to blurred details, mushy lettering, and uneven texture across the coin surface, especially noticeable in Lincoln's hair and facial features which appear soft and undefined compared to a standard strike. And as numismatists began to study this coin more closely under magnification, they discovered the presence of a die crack running through the coin's obverse, starting from the edge near the T in trust and stretching downward diagonally through Lincoln's eye and cheek before breaking off near his collar, forming what is now famously referred to as the scarred Lincoln effect, a dramatic and eerie visual anomaly that adds character and uniqueness. But even more bizarre is what's happening on the reverse side of the coin, where the Lincoln memorial appears to be subtly doubled as well, not from a typical double die reverse error, but from what experts call mechanical or machine doubling, a form of doubling caused by vibration or die bounce during the strike that results in a flattened and shelf-like appearance of duplicated letters, most notably in the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, creating a ghostly, blurred effect that makes the coin look otherworldly under magnification. And as if that weren't enough, this particular 1998 D-cent also shows signs of an improperly annealed planchet, where the heating process used to soften the blank before striking was uneven or insufficient, leading to a strange discoloration on parts of the coin, especially around the rim and fields, where the surface appears mottled or speckled, with reddish and dark blotches that not only indicate metallurgical issues but also increase the coin's visual distinction and rarity, and further metallurgical analysis revealed micro-pits and plating blisters, small bubbles that form under the copper plating due to gas expansion or contaminants during the bonding process, which are extremely rare and usually result in coins being rejected by quality control, but in this case, the coin somehow made it through all checks and into circulation, a miracle in itself. And when you combine all these factors, off-center strike, double die obverse, machine doubling reverse, die crack, die deterioration, plating blisters, annealing errors, you have a one-of-a-kind specimen that simply should not exist, and yet it does, and the final nail in the coffin of rarity came when it was discovered that the mint mark D itself appeared to be repunched, a phenomenon where the mint mark is stamped more than once in slightly different positions, creating a shadowed or doubled appearance. And this combination of a repunch mint mark on a double die obverse coin is so rare that it has only been documented a handful of times in all of US coinage history, making this coin not just a rarity but a statistical impossibility. And when it was first found by a collector at a flea market in rural Colorado, it was initially sold for a few dollars until high-resolution photographs posted online caught the attention of a renowned numismatist who recognized the extreme significance of the find and began a detailed authentication and grading process that took over 3 months, involving metallurgical testing, die tracing, strike angle analysis, and error cataloging by multiple third-party grading services, all of whom confirmed the coin as authentic, unique, and previously undocumented, and the coin was assigned a new error designation and placed in a high-security display slab before it went to private auction, where collectors, investors, and institutions from around the world submitted bids, driving the final sale price to a jaw-dropping $168 million, the highest ever paid for a modern Lincoln cent, and instantly making this coin the crown jewel of error coinage in the modern era, a title that it still holds today, as its legend continues to grow in coin shows, publications, and online collector forums where it is known simply as the 1998 D Miracle Cent, a coin that defies logic, breaks records, and redefines the very idea of value in numismatics, and it now resides in a private collection housed in a museum quality vault, only emerging for special exhibitions or academic study, and its story has been told and retold in countless documentaries, podcasts, and articles, often cited as the ultimate example of why every coin in your pocket could be hiding something extraordinary, a hidden flaw, a silent error, a misstep in the mint that turns ordinary metal into multi-million-dollar legend. And as technology advances and more detailed coin analysis becomes available to collectors at home, the search for another like it continues with renewed energy and excitement, because if one such coin exists, others might too, waiting in drawers, jars, and pocket change across the country, and the legacy of the 1998 D1 cent worth $168 million serves as a reminder that in the chaotic precision of minting billions of coins, sometimes all the stars align, all the mistakes happen in perfect harmony, and a coin emerges that is so flawed it becomes flawless, so damaged it becomes divine, so ordinary it becomes a treasure beyond measure. And now that you've heard the full story of this incredible coin, maybe it's time to take another look at the pennies in your change jar, because the next chapter in numismatic history might just be lying there unnoticed, waiting to be discovered, valued, and celebrated for the beautiful mistakes that make it truly one of a kind. Last 2004 D1 cent USA coin, change isn't just spare, it's legendary, where coins once thought ordinary are revealed to be historical masterpieces of flaw and fortune, and today we dive into a jaw-dropping story that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about the pennies in your pocket, because in this incredible episode, we're telling the tale of a single 2004 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin that stunned the numismatic world when it sold for an astronomical $154 million, not because of any precious metal content or ancient provenance, but because of a unique, mind-bending sequence of minting errors, physical anomalies, and ultra-rare production quirks that turned this copper-plated zinc disc into one of the most valuable coins ever documented. And what makes this particular penny so extraordinary isn't just a single error, but a once-in-a-lifetime convergence of multiple high-grade mistakes that each on their own could warrant thousands in value, but when found combined on a single coin like this 2004 D specimen, created a perfect storm of collector obsession and astronomical bidding. And it all began when this penny surfaced at a small estate sale in Colorado, unnoticed among a bag of loose change until an eagle-eyed hobbyist spotted something that didn't quite look right about the obverse, and that was just the beginning, because what he found was far more than a minor curiosity. It was a historical numismatic phenomenon that turned out to be one of the most complex and valuable mint error coins ever discovered, beginning with its most striking and instantly noticeable anomaly, the off-center strike, which on this coin was so dramatic that nearly 40% of the design was missing from one side, throwing Lincoln's portrait far into the right edge while leaving a massive blank crescent of unstruck planchette on the left, a feature that alone would have made the coin valuable to collectors. But it was only the tip of the iceberg, because further analysis revealed that this coin also suffered from a double strike, where after the initial off-center hit, the coin was rotated approximately 90 degrees and struck again, overlaying the original design with ghost-like shadows and creating a surreal visual effect of multiple Lincolns and partially overlapping dates. And if that weren't enough, it was also determined that the planchette used was flawed from the start, showing signs of lamination error where a portion of the metal surface begins to peel or flake due to impurities or improper bonding during production. And in this case, the top layer of copper had partially separated along the rim, especially near the D mint mark, exposing the underlying zinc core and forming a jagged irregular edge that distorted the surrounding features, particularly the word Liberty, which appeared fragmented and warped as though melting into the background. And as experts at multiple grading agencies continued to study the coin, they discovered that the die used for the obverse had not only been deteriorating but was also misaligned with the reverse die, causing a severe clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of one side's features on the other. And in this case, faint outlines of the Lincoln Memorial columns could be seen bleeding through Lincoln's jawline and neck, a type of error so unusual in this series and date that it raised immediate suspicion, until further metallurgical testing confirmed every feature to be genuine and unaltered. And what made things even more astonishing was the doubling on the obverse, a true double die variety that caused the date, particularly the number 4 in 2004, to appear thickened and shadowed under magnification, along with the letters in God We Trust and Liberty, making this not only an off-center double-struck coin with a clash and lamination issue, but also one struck from a double die. And then came another shock when the reverse was examined, because it too bore machine doubling, flat, shelf-like doubling on United States of America and 1 cent, suggesting a rare case of dual doubling, which is virtually unheard of and skyrockets rarity in error coin hierarchy. And compounding the chaos of this coin's production was the fact that it bore a massive die chip inside the Lincoln Memorial, right at the central arch, which collectors began referring to as the collapsed dome variety because it appeared as though the center of the memorial had caved in, a dramatic blob of raised metal caused by a piece of the die breaking off, and on top of that, a prominent die crack extended from the chip outward along the roofline, adding even more unique characteristics to this already unbelievable coin. And while all these visible features alone would have made it a rare treasure, further UV light examination revealed subtle signs of plating bubbles, tiny gas pockets trapped under the copper layer that formed during improper plating, typically leading to eventual surface blistering, and this added one more layer of rarity and instability to an already chaotic specimen. And most curious of all was the mint mark itself, which under extreme magnification was determined to be a repunched mint mark or RPM, meaning that a D was punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions, creating a visible doubling effect that added even more value, as RPMs are a highly collectible error category, especially when found in conjunction with major mint errors. And when all of these elements were put together, off-center strike, rotated double strike, lamination error, die clash, obverse double die, machine doubling reverse, die chip, die crack, plating bubbles, repunched mint mark, and signs of die deterioration, the numismatic community realized they were looking at something truly unprecedented, a coin that defied statistical probability and represented the absolute peak of modern U.S. minting errors. And after authentication by top-tier grading services including PCGS and NGC, and inclusion in several scholarly publications, the coin was finally brought to private auction, where its reputation had already grown to near legendary status among collectors and investors, and it was at that private auction, attended by some of the most powerful coin collectors in the world, that the bidding war exploded, with prices climbing past 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, until finally it was sold for a record-setting $154 million, making it not just the most expensive 2004 AD penny ever sold, but one of the highest-priced coins of any denomination or origin, a coin now immortalized in coin collecting history as the penny of paradox, because of how so many conflicting and compounding errors could coexist in one coin that by all logic shouldn't have survived the minting process, let alone circulated into the public's hands, and it's now housed in a custom-built secure vault as part of an elite private collection, and has only been displayed publicly twice, both times under armed guard and with lines stretching around the exhibition halls as collectors, students, and historians lined up to see the coin that became a symbol of everything rare, chaotic, and valuable in modern minting. And its story continues to inspire new generations of coin hunters who now check every 2004 AD penny they come across with magnifying glasses, microscopes, and high hopes that perhaps lightning could strike twice, and that maybe, just maybe, there's another flawed masterpiece waiting to be discovered in a jar of coins, a vending machine, or a forgotten drawer. Because what this coin proves beyond a shadow of a doubt is that treasure doesn't always glitter, it sometimes hides in plain sight, disguised as the most common thing in your change. And all it takes is a series of impossible errors, the right moment in minting history, and someone with a curiosity to look just a little bit closer to turn that ordinary cent into an object of obsession, or a 9-figure fortune.